Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 19. And it reads, the lips of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Bashem, Rikah, Kadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and to the Akim and the Akwath listening and learning, Shalom. This is Seed the Most High Kingdom. I'm coming at you with another lesson. This lesson is going to be inspired by the article out of Bloomberg News, and it reads, Election 2020, Trump wants $5 billion from TikTok deal for a history project. So the President of the United States, he want TikTok, the creators of this TikTok app, to give him $5 billion, Salakia, if he approve this deal, so that this app can be operating in the United States again. And this deal is to teach the real history of America. So let's continue the article. President Donald Trump said Saturday he wants $5 billion from companies creating a new U.S.-based TikTok venture directed towards teaching American children the real history of our country. And when he say our, he always referring to the so-called white man, the Edomite, today the devil the Bible speaks of. He would never use our and you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans in the same sentence. So you understand who he's talking to and which audience. So you always have to know what audience that the President of the United States is speaking to. He'll never speak to you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. He speak at you. He speak to the people that look like him, which would be the Edomites today, that so-called white man that the Bible speaks of, the devil. So first and foremost, that's what we must take in consideration when any time that the President of the United States is speaking. His audience. We're going to continue reading. He told his rally audience that in conversation with leaders of the companies, he said, do me a favor. Could you put up $5 billion into a fund for education so we can educate people as to the real history of our country? That will our country again, the real history, not the fake history. And the fake history will be that you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans came over here on slave ships. And the real history will be that y'all volunteered to come over here and be chattel slavery, to work for free, and to get slaughtered. And again, you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, you need to pay attention to the audience that the President of the United States is speaking to. He's speaking to the so-called Edomites, the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. And again, you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, your history is filled with violence since you arrived here on slave ships. And even to this day, it continued with violence. Esau used his weapon, which is the modern day sword, the gun, and the knife, the gun, and his police force to slaughter you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. So his history is to teach that you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, number one, that y'all are unruly people, that the violence that you bring upon yourself is self-inflicted, and most of the time it really is. My next precept coming out of Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints. The saints will be you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans of the Most High, and to think to change times and laws to change times, what change their history. That's a timeline, and they shall be given into his hands a time and a dividing of times. And you Negroes gonna still be in their hands for dividing of times to this day. Okay, we're gonna go back to the article, and it reads, President Donald Trump said Saturday he wants $5 billion from companies creating a new U.S.-based TikTok venture directed towards teaching American children the real history of our country. And you got to understand, the President of the United States don't see you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans as Americans. And he definitely don't see y'all as being a part of our history. And their history is filled with violence, rape, robbery, and murder. And again, I have to keep referring to this. You have to understand the audience that the President of the United States is speaking to when he used the words like the American children and our history. You Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, y'all are not considered a part of America. Let the Edomites get mad at you and they tell you the first thing come out their mouth, go back to where you came from, as if there's an option for you to go back on to get another slave ship and to leave America. When the President of the United States referred to our history, he's referring to the Confederate flag, his Confederate forefathers, and because I could say Confederate forefathers because all the so-called past leaders of this country, they all been slave owners, they all been wicked men. Why? Because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the face of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Who is the wicked? Esau, Edom. My next precept coming out of the book of Isaiah, chapter 26 and verse 10. Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and would not behold the majesty of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. The Most High is giving the earth into the hand of the wicked, and yet all they can do is create more wickedness. A beautiful earth that the Most High Yahweh placed in their hands, and yet all they can do is continue in wickedness. Again, and why do they continue in wickedness? Because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And where and who is he? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who runs the entire earth? Which country that the other nations look to, for leadership? That would be the United States of America. And who run the United States of America? Edomites, the so-called white man. And we're going to go back to that article, but this time I'm going in the CNN business article. And it reads, Trump wants the TikTok deal to pour $5 billion in real history education. It's not that simple. And it's not that simple because they saying, hey, if we teach the real history, we're going to have to teach that so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, that they are the biblical Israelites that the Bible speaks of, and that our history is filled with violence, rape, robbery, and murder. And furthermore, if they teach the real history of the U.S., they will have to teach that you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, before in the Dark Ages, that they ruled Europe. And they telling the president, hey, pump your brakes a little bit, Mr. President. Teaching the real history, also it's going to reveal a whole lot of wicked history on our part, which is already coming out, that the Edomites are the devil that the Bible speaks. My next precept coming out of the book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 8. So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And that's what will happen if the so-called white man will talk the real history, of America. The nations are already fleeing away from America. Why? Because they know that they was born out of wickedness, and they continue to spread wickedness throughout the globe. My next precepts will be coming out of 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter. We're going to start at 57. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathens, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be Lord over us and to devour us. And you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans have been devoured by Esau, Edom, who is the white man in this captivity. He's physically devoured you, and he spiritually have devoured you with this slave master Christianity. We're going to continue reading verse 58. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into thy hands. Salakia, their hands. And who is the firstborn? You can go to Exodus chapter 4, verse 22. I'm going to bring that up, just so you'll know that Israel is the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, who the word ignorantly called Jesus firstborn. Israel is the firstborn. Exodus chapter 4 and verse 22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. So what Esdras was saying, and what was spoken in Exodus chapter 4 verse 22, is that Israel is the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's firstborn. So everybody can't be the firstborn of the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You got the heathen nation, and you got the righteous people, which are you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, the tribes of Israel. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 59. And it said, if the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess the inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? And Esdras is asking, how long shall this endure? Why don't we possess an inheritance with the world that exists now? Because, we sinned against the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and we're paying out our sentence right now in Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah, America. And as we finish out our sentence, you know, Esau Edom, who is the devil the Bible speaks of, the white man, he can go in and he can teach another history. Why? Because the earth is given into his hand. You know, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So for right now, he can teach another history. He can alter the history, the record books, so to speak, to reflect, you know, everything positive about the so-called devil, the white man. And I'm going to leave you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the elect, with my last precept, which comes out of the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to the Akim and the Akwaf, Shalom.